Welcome to our new series of Common Mistakes to Avoid for the O Levels, where we will be exploring the common mistakes that students make for both additional and elementary math. This series is specially targeted at all our students who will be taking the O Levels this year. Students from other secondary levels will also find some of the videos useful, as we will be looking at questions from Sec 1 to 4 topics for elementary math and Sec 3 and 4 topics for additional math. In every episode, we will label the subject whether it is an A Math or E Math question, followed by the topic that we will be discussing in that video, so you can easily find the episodes that are relevant to you. As per our standard practice, you will also be able to download the question from our website after watching each video. So without further ado, let's get started. Today, we will be looking at an A Math question on the topic of trigonometric equations. Part 1 is a proving question, which I believe that you shouldn't have any problems with. We will be looking at Part 2, which is a common mistake that some students will make. So first, let's take a look at the keyword in Part 2. The keyword is the hence. So you should know that when you see the word hence, you're supposed to use Part 1's answer to help you to solve for Part 2. So as you can see here, we know that 2 out of tangent x plus cotangent x is equals to 3 over 2 cosine square x. So from Part 1, we know that 2 out of tangent x plus cotangent x is equals to sine 2x. So we are going to substitute the left-hand side to become sine 2x. And so we'll get this to be equivalent to cosine square x. Now you realize that there are no common terms between the two sides. So we will need to substitute your sine 2x to become 2 sine x cosine x. And then from here, of course, as what I have been always mentioned in class, you can actually get rid of the denominator, the fraction here, by multiplying by 2 throughout. So you can get 4 sine x cosine x is equals to 3 cosine square x. Now from here, you should be able to tell that there is a common term, which is cosine x. Now some of you will try to do the next step like this. So since there is a common term cosine x, so they will cancel away the cosine x with the cosine x by dividing by cosine x throughout. So you will be left with 4 sine x equals to 3 cosine x. And then after which, because you know that tangent x is equivalent to sine x over cosine x. So you can actually divide by cosine x throughout this entire equation, and you will get 4 tangent x equivalent to 3. And then after which you can get your tangent x is equals to 3/4, and so you can find your basic angle to be 36.8699 degrees. And then since tangent x is positive 3/4, it will lie in the first and third quadrant. Okay, so you can go ahead to find the first quadrant, and the answer will be 36.9 to 1 dp. And for the third quadrant, you can use 180 to plus 0.8699 degrees, and that gives you 216.9 degrees. And so some of you will solve the two answers to be 36.9 degrees and 216.9 degrees. Now this may seem correct, but in fact these two answers are only part of the correct answer. So where is the mistake? Now, let me bring your attention to this part over here where we did simplifying by dividing by cosine x throughout. Now, you must understand that when you are simplifying this equation, you can only simplify this equation by dividing it by coefficients, which is the constant only. So say, for example, they have a common factor of 2. So yes, you can divide by 2 throughout. You are not supposed to divide by an algebraic term that will cause you to eliminate it. Now let me show you the correct way of solving for this equation so that you can compare between the two solutions. So the correct method to solve for this equation here is to shift all the terms to the same side. So you will get 4 sine x cosine x minus 3 cosine square x equals to 0. And then since you have a common term cosine x, we're supposed to take out the common factor. So we will get cosine x as the common factor, and we'll be left with 4 sine x minus 3 cosine x inside the bracket. And so from here, you will be able to tell me that cosine x is equals to 0 and 4 sine x minus 3 cosine x is equals to 0. So can you see that cosine x equals to 0 was missing from the solution that we did earlier on? That is why the two answers that we have gotten just now were only partially correct. If you continue from this part here, you will be able to solve for the basic angle and go on to identify the quadrants. Then you will be able to get the answers for x to be 90 degrees and 270 degrees. And then for the one on the right hand side, as we have done previously, you will be able to get tangent x equals to 3/4, and then you will be able to find the basic angle and identify the quadrants, and then the answers that you get for x will be 36.9 degrees and 216.9 degrees. So the complete solution to this equation is x equals to 36.9 degrees, 90 degrees, 216.9 degrees, and 270 degrees. So there are a total of 4 answers as compared to the 2 answers that we have gotten from the solution that we did previously. So remember, when you are solving for any equations, be it trigonometric equations or logarithmic equations, do not eliminate any algebraic terms. If you have a common term, you have to factorize it by taking out the common factor like what we did over here. Okay, so then you equate it to 0 and then you solve like what we have done over here. So in this way, you will be able to get the full solution to this equation.